Good morning, Year 7. So today we are looking at properties of triangles. So pause the video and write your date, title, and both learning objectives are important today because that's what we're going to do. Okay, and underline each of them, please. Now, once you've done that, let's have a look. Firstly, we've got to start off by identifying and how we describe lines, so straight lines. If you look here, obviously at the top it says copy into books. I want you to make notes wherever it says copy into books. Today there's going to be a lot of copying, but not so many questions, okay? So describing lines, this line has a point A at one end and a point B at the other, so you describe it as the line AB. Okay, that's really important. It's the line AB because at one end it has an A and at the other end it has a B. Now, when two lines cross, they are something. Now, there's a posh word that we use for when two lines cross, and it's called intersect. So when two lines cross, they are intersecting. And these two lines here intersect at point X. So this is your point X in the middle where they're crossing and they intersect at point X. So there's some new language there that we're going to be using. Instead of saying that two lines cross, we say they intersect now, okay? Remember, you should be making notes and pausing the video whenever you need to. So let's have a look at some types of lines that we might have, pairs of lines that we might have seen before. So what are parallel lines? Let's have a look. So parallel lines never meet, and you can show lines are parallel by putting arrows on them. So if you look at these two lines here, we can see that they are parallel. And whenever we see two lines that are parallel, we put arrows on them. So we can put little arrows on them when two lines are parallel to show that they will never meet. They're kind of like train tracks. They stay the same distance apart and they will never cross. What are perpendicular, or they will never intersect is what I should say. What are perpendicular lines? Perpendicular lines do intersect, and they intersect at a right angle. Okay, as you can see here, if I make this a little bit bigger. Okay, you'll see here they intersect and create a right angle shown by that little box there. And that's what we do. If we see that two lines are perpendicular, we put a little box between them to show that they're intersecting at a right angle. So these two properties, being parallel and being perpendicular, are kind of opposite to each other, aren't they? Because parallel lines will never meet, and then perpendicular lines meet at a right angle. Now you must remember the different ways that we show that they meet. So you must remember to put little arrows on your parallel lines, and you must remember to put a little right angle box on perpendicular lines. Okay. Here we get down to the kind of important bit that maybe you won't have seen before. Describing triangles and quadrilaterals, where we're only going to be describing triangles today. As you can see, we've got a triangle here, and in its corners, it has letters A, B, and C. So we can call this triangle ABC, okay, because of the letters that we've given to its corners. Now, there are special ways that we can write certain properties of a triangle. So we know triangles have sides, 3 sides, and we know triangles have 3 angles as well. Now, as you can see down here, this triangle has 3 vertices, A, B, and C, and vertices are just corners. So A, B, and C are the corners of the triangle. So that's what we just call them, A, B, and C. If I wanted to talk about the angles, I would put a little kind of arrow in front of them. So if I was talking about angle A, that would be angle A. If I was talking about angle C, that would be angle C. And if I talked about angle B, that would be angle B. You need to put the little arrow in front, otherwise it looks like you're talking about the corners or the vertices. And then it has 3 sides. Now the way that we describe the sides of a triangle is we describe them using the letters that are joining them. So if I was going to talk about this side here, I would call that AC. Side AC. If I was going to talk about this side here, I would call it BC. And if I was going to talk about this side here, I would call it AB. Now I've done that way around because they're all in alphabetical order, aren't they? A comes before B, A comes before C, and B comes before C. So I've done them in alphabetical order. Okay, so that's how we kind of describe the sides, the vertices, and the angles in a triangle. And that goes for quadrilaterals as well, it does. But we'll come on to that at a later point. So this is very important, this bit here, that you remember that vertices is just a posh word for the pointy bits, so the corners. Okay? Now let's have a look at some things you'll have seen before. So you've got a scalene triangle, an obtuse angle triangle, a right angle triangle, an isosceles triangle, and an equilateral triangle. Now let's go through each of these. So a scalene triangle has no equal sides and no equal angles as well. An obtuse angle triangle, well this one here, we can see that this is the obtuse angle here and the other ones are acute. That has no equal sides and no equal angles as well. So it's basically just like a scalene triangle. Your right angle triangle will always be given with the little right angle box. Okay, so you'll always know the right angle triangle has a little box in the corner. Here, an isosceles triangle, this is the triangle that most people can't really get. Your isosceles triangle has two equal sides, and the two equal sides are shown with those two little lines. So those sides are equal. We've seen isosceles triangles before, and we know that these two angles are equal as well, don't we? And then your equilateral triangle, all three angles are the same and all three sides are the same. And you've seen these types of triangles before, haven't you? You should make notes on these, okay? Just so you don't forget the types of triangles that you've got and you've got to identify. Okay, here's your first example. I'd like you to copy into your books. Describe the geometrical properties of the isosceles triangle ABC. Well, we know that an isosceles triangle has two equal sides and two equal angles. So we've got to find a way of writing that. Well, the two equal sides I know is this side and that side. I'm going to do it in a different colour just because I don't think that showed up very well, did it? So this side and this side are the same because they've both got those little dashes in their side. So this side I would call AB and this side I would call AC. Okay, like A to B and A to C is kind of what that means. Okay, so I need to say that they're equal. So all I do is say that AB equals AC. And there I've said that it has two equal sides. Now I need to think about the angles. Well, I know that this angle here and this angle here are the same. So how can I write that? Well, I remember that to write an angle, I need to say it's angle B and then angle C. And I need to say that they're equal to each other, don't I? So angle B is equal to angle C. And that's it, I'm done. That's all I can say because the other two bits, the odd one out side isn't equal to anything else and then the odd angle out isn't equal to anything else. So I just leave them out and I don't need to say anything about them. So make sure you've got this copied down in your books. Now, here are the two questions I'd like you to do. Very, very simple. First question from exercise, I think it's 9E we're on now, is I want you to look at the following, in question 1, I want you to look at the triangles and I want you to write and name those triangles. So what type of triangle are they for number 1? For number 2, what we just did in the example, I would like you to do for this. equilateral triangle. So you need to describe the geometrical properties of the equilateral triangle ABC. You need to do exactly what we just did, but for an equilateral triangle. Okay. Now, answers are going to be at the end of the PDF, so you can check your answers. Okay. Once you have done this, and you copied all the work out that I want you to, don't leave anything out, because the questions I've left you to do are very, very simple. And today I wanted you to do a lot of copying out and not so many questions, okay, because you needed to learn a lot today. So you need to make sure you've copied everything I've asked you to. You need to submit a photo of your work onto the Google Classroom as soon as you have done your work, and let me know if you have any problems with it, please, okay? Just let me know and I'll see if I can help you at all. Okay, I hope you all had a lovely weekend, and that you're raring to go with your maths work, okay? And I can't wait to see what work you produce today. All right. Have a lovely day, Year 7, and I shall speak to you tomorrow.